mic, okay, excellent. And yeah, we'll go ahead and I guess wait 1 or 2 more minutes and then start this ball rolling. All right. I think we're ready. Excellent. Sounds like we're being recorded. So the first very important thing is thank you for taking time to come and listen to what we have to say. We'll start with general, information, that kind of thing. But I want to keep it kind of going so that there's plenty of time at the end for any questions that you guys still have when we're done. And we'll also point out a couple of websites for you guys to have access to. This is being recorded, so obviously there'll be a recording. If any of your colleagues who couldn't make it want to go find the recording, that'll work really well. And finally, you can email any of us up here, and we're happy to either answer your question directly, because we know, or send you to somebody who knows better, all right? So I am Tamara King. I am chair of the UNE COM Research and Scholarship Committee. I feel like I should be standing over here because you guys I'm too short. All on the left side. Right. And so this, I've been on the Research and Scholarship Committee forever, and I'm currently chair, and we're excited to tell you a little bit about what we offer in terms of fellowships and in terms of opportunities for you guys to share your research once you've done your research. So I'll be talking about that during the second half. First, I'm going to hand the mic over to Dr. Brenner, and she's going to introduce you to basic concepts of what research is, why it's important, and what kind of different opportunities you might start to explore as you're starting to think about, hey, research could be kind of cool.
Thank you, Tamara. I also want to introduce other people in the audience, since you haven't had a chance to meet people face to face. So Diane Labby is sitting over there. She's the administrative person for research. Diane does a wonderful job emailing you back when I say, please contact Diane for more information. We have Dr. G here, who is a wonderful researcher and has done a lot for our students. And Dr. Becker, also wonderful advocate for research. And she's actually the vice chair of the Research and Scholarship Committee. One of the things that we've done over the COVID period or pandemic is we put together a wonderful SharePoint site. And so when anybody emails me, I actually say, hey, set up a time with me so we can actually go through all the things that you see on SharePoint, because there's always questions about how to register cases, what can I, so that's a really good basic information. So then when you have an appointment with me, you're really asking something specific about what you want to do. And that's the only point. I'm not trying to bar you from seeing me. I'm just trying to make your time more meaningful with me. So research. So my office does a lot with research, systematic investigation, evaluation of information, particular subject, and If you need help developing some idea into a research, you can ask me or you can ask any of the people that are sitting at the table here. Also, for the 3rd and 4th year, I know you're not there, you just started, but we do a lot of case development for our students at the 3rd and 4th year. So we started this 3 years ago, and this last year we had 41 students register for cases. So the research and scholarship's been an exponentially growing area. Oh, it always was. Absolutely a wonderful experience here. But I think, I've been told boards are pass-fail. So I think a lot more emphasis, there's a lot more emphasis on what you can use to distinguish yourself. Research and scholarship is one of them. But also remember, there are many other things. There are wonderful centers of excellence that you can do things in aging. Dr. G does a lot of things. So I want you to realize it's not like undergrad, okay? So when you start med school, there's so much available for you that, one of the things that we do during an individual session with me is we explore, what have you done in the past? What are you passionate about now? How to get involved? So, the door is open. Once you're a med student, you have a lot more doors open than when you were an undergraduate student. Benefits of research. Obviously, there are numerous benefits of research, medical knowledge. One of the things that a lot of students did with me during the pandemic, they did literature surveys, and actually many of them were published. So you can publish literature surveys, and what my office does, or you can ask other people, is we talk about how to develop a paper on a literature survey so we can actually scale it down to something very specific and tangible. You can, please feel free, if you've done something in the past, to contact Dr. Ferlin, the chair of biomedical sciences. Last year the medical students did a lot of research presentations. And, this is still open to you. They're not necessarily all by faculty. And it was a fantastic experience last year to have our students give the research seminars. Our research seminars now are on Tuesdays at 12 to 1. Yeah, of course. Yeah, this is an interactive thing.
This is supposed to be low key. My daughter says, it's low key. And I'm like, low key? No, it's on TV. So basically for the seminars, not only is it really good, to be able to do one, and we don't know how many slots will be open since we're moving to in-person, but it's really, really important to go to the seminars. Even if 95% goes over your head, you're getting experience in listening to another language, essentially, and that's the best way to learn how to speak a different language. But it's just going to be helpful, and as you feel more comfortable in that setting, you're going to feel more comfortable asking research questions, and that's the important thing that we want you guys to get out of that.
Yes, thank you, Tamara. It's very important. And I'm sure everybody knows here, what my office does is really we try to develop a research plan over your 4 years. Because, as you do things, different years, you have different opportunities. I can tell you right now, I have many 4th-year students working with me trying to finish their publications. And we do have, even though it's not in this slide, just so you know, we do actually have a research clinical rotation that you get credit for starting in your 4th year. So many students take time because that's when they like to write things up. I mean, it helps with your residency interview. So one of the goals, this is my 4th year here, and I think one of the goals, it's really, really surprising. Yes, I've been here, this is my 4th year, but I don't feel I've been on campus for more than 2. So what I want for you to do, that's why the SharePoint is such a good thing for you to look at. Dr. G has worked very hard on a CV template. The CV template that you have is exactly the same CV template you're going to use when you actually apply for your residency. So one of the things that, and I'm not a good, if you start putting things on that, then you just add to things rather than in the beginning of your fourth year going, oh God, I have to update my CV, because you won't remember everything. So, so here, the other thing here is join a UNE research club. So we have a lot of students that are very active in our research and scholarship club this year. How many students do we have, do you know, that are part of the research club this year? I don't remember. 40 or? Yeah. Oh, over 50 signups, and they will be doing special sessions that are requested by you. And so these are, very helpful. So if there was something you were really interested in, please go to your student representative and we can help set it up. You really want to look at our SharePoint site. And if you email me and I email you back, the link is on the signature of my webpage, and the same with Diane Labby. So, it's really user-friendly, but you'd be surprised how much information we have there now. One of the things I tell students to do is, you're very lucky, you're a med student. So you want to join a national regional society, it's only $10 to $25. If I want to join, it's close to $1,000. So some students say, well, how come you haven't joined and looked at things? Well, there's so many. I don't have that much money in my budget, so I rely on you to become members and then bring things to my attention. I certainly can email things to other students or clubs, and one of the things that's really true is, I know you're only starting, but residency directors really choose students they know. So these are opportunities, if you want to do a poster, that you really have a one-on-one, or you get to know a residency director. We're very lucky to be in the Boston area where there's so many opportunities. If we go back virtual, there's still many, many opportunities. Nobody knows what's going to happen, I think, but we're very lucky in that, UNE is, all the students, all you guys have had, COVID vaccine, and so have we. So, so the other thing is, and I think that, I want to make this point. To become research ready, you need to do something called city training. Now, some of you have probably done that. And depending on the institution, if you've done it prior, you can, it can go back through UNE. And once you've done these city training modules, they're good at UNE for 4 years. Am I correct, Diane? Some institutes, it's 3 years. Here, it's 4 years. And typically, I ask the students to do the social and behavioral research investigating module, because that really tells you a lot about human subject research. Even if you don't do human subject research, starting your 3rd year and the rest of your residency, you'll be doing human subject research. So it's not a long module, it takes a couple hours, but it's going to be good for 4 years. So great idea. If you have time and you're saying, what should I do? That's one of the things I suggest. Now, find a mentor. This is not easy. I'm aware of it. All medical schools, not just us, you have to actually talk to a mentor to see if it's a good match. Like, I think a lot of students come up to me and they say, give me a project, give me a mentor. I can't really do that. It's like a dating service. I can give you contacts and who to call and ideas, but it's really up to you to contact that person, because it's a very special relationship. And what I have found is many students already have that relationship, and they continue to use the same mentor when they first come to the med school, and they may decide, in the 3rd year they want to have a more clinical mentor, or maybe you have a clinical mentor. I realize that, one of the things that comes up all the time, as an osteopathic school, we don't have our own hospital. That makes it more difficult for us, but all osteopathic schools are in the same boat. And not only that, medical schools are often in the same boat. Not all of them have hospitals. But, we have a huge connection to the Boston area, and our students have been doing research, in New England we're 41 years old this year. So that's a long time. And we have an excellent reputation. Sometimes if you go to New York City, they go, University of New England, COM. They don't know who it is. But so what? You have great opportunities. DOs are getting into some of the best residencies now. That may not have been true 15 or 20 years ago, but it's certainly true now. So, I will help you write email. I'll help you do that. But it's not a good idea if you ask me to send it to a mentor, because it puts you in a weaker position. They want something from you. But I'm happy to go through, if you have a couple people you're interested in, you can call my office, and I'm happy to help you dig through the information so you get some clarity. Okay, so one of the nice things at UNE is we have UNE Centers and Institute for Excellence, and many of which actually do welcome our students. And actually, let me have Tamara tell you about the COBRE, since she's part of the COBRE, which is an amazing group of neuroscientists.
Sorry, I was just leaning over and telling Dr. G, we've both been here for a little while, and it's amazing to see this list because research has just exploded exponentially here, and we do feel very, very lucky. The COBRE is a institutional grant that Dr. Ian Meng is PI on, and basically it is a grant to support new investigators so that they can bring in NIH funding, but also to help build infrastructure. And through this grant, we have got amazing toys. I'm a basic science neuroscientist, so when I came here, saw this beautiful campus, small, school, I didn't expect to find things like confocal microscopes. We have now recently purchased a 2-photon microscope. It's one of 2 in Maine, okay? So we have research shops here, both on the basic science and the clinical arenas. Plus our networking, we are top tier researchers. So our networks are pretty vast. And I have a wide network, Dr. G has a wide network, Dr. Becker has so if you look at the number of researchers and you look at the networks beyond, you guys have a lot of opportunities. So it's really important, as Dr. Brenner was just saying, just to take the initiative, take a few minutes, think about what you want to pursue, why you want to pursue it, and then start reaching out. And if we don't do it, or we don't have room right at the moment, it's a good chance we'd know somebody who does, okay?
We have a tremendous aging and health group. We have a center now. Tom Muser actually runs the center, but I will give Dr. G a moment to just talk very briefly about how much what our COM does. Our COM does amazing things in aging. Better to have the people talk about it than me talk about it.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Actually, there are no limits to what we do. When Dr. King mentioned about the vast network, that's the truth. You come in with an idea, and we can usually get you set up with somebody to do that work with. So we have some of our second years working with DO, Dr. Richard Stefanacci, who's down at Thomas Jefferson Medical School. He is internationally known, and she's doing her project really at Portland Greater Health, and he's her mentor for that. So there's just so many opportunities. One of the new areas, although I'm in geriatrics, I'm working with students getting national research fellowships for anesthesiology, the FAIR fellowship. There's also the nth dimension, which is orthopedics, that is for women and minorities. That's National Research Fellowship. So there are options out there for those as well. And usually I do a presentation through SOMA end of October, talk about CVs, how to find external research projects and fellowships, and how to get internal research going. One thing to add on that list, which is new for us, I am now working with the liaison for the Maine Medical Center Gender Institute. We have 2 first-year students that are doing research in trans health. And Brandy Brown, who you will probably see when we do the LGBT session later on, she comes and is usually part of a panel. But now she said she would take up to 3 students a year, and I'm the home site coordinator for that. So very broad. If you can think it, we can usually do it. That's what's really cool about us, as long as you're going to put in the work. But we'll get you there.
Thank you, Dr. G. And one of the things we're very excited about this year, Nan Solomon, Dr. Solomon, and I in a group are starting to put together digital health research. It's in the beginning. We're looking for grants. This is something the dean wants in the new medical school, but we will be, we're just starting to meet, but we will have digital health projects. There are digital health projects our other health professionals have done in other colleges. So we're going to just extend some of that. The neuroscience SEN is, many of those people are part of the COBRI, but if you look at the names, they're not all COM faculty. So remember that it extends beyond. I mean, we have PT people. Katie Rudolph is an important player in some of those, but it's more than just, you know, the COBRI does have people, faculty from all over. Public health, this is something we've really worked hard on this year, and we're still making inroads to create bigger things with the state of Maine. And, you know, we've done a lot of medical education surveys on COVID this year. The dean and I are exploring ways to put together multi-center projects with the different, you know, we have about 16 clerkship and residency sites. So this is something we're very excited about. I'm sure you read it all the time. You know, vaccine hesitancy, you know, a lot of times, you know, it's very important for you to be educated so you can help educate patients. There's a lot of what I would call vaccine ignorance. And, you know, we look to you to fill in the gaps because, you know, it's also great for you to have that, you know, experience because then you're dealing with potential patients. Our marine science research program is incredible, and we should probably have somebody from marine science come and talk to us. And actually, we're now starting, we are having a seminar by Holly Parker for, she's in the Institute for North Atlantic Studies of the University of New England, and we're very interested in global health. And this is something particularly in Iceland, their medical schools. So this is something we're just starting to do. She'll be giving a seminar in November. So we have a collaboration with Maine Medical Center Research Institute, MMCRI. They're located in Scarborough. And many of the faculty there do amazing projects, and they tend to be very research intensive. So if you have a background in research, they're looking for students to have a background in research already. We don't really have very many students that go there, 5 to 7, but it's expanding. I mean, I think a lot of the limitation in the last 2 years really been this new program, and also there's limited faculty, and then with the pandemic, there was limited space for you to be on the site. You have access to alumni. Alumni are doctors. Don't underestimate the network that our alumni have in the New England area. They know many, many more things than I do. So, if you're, please, if you talk to Vince, you can, I don't know if he's put out an announcement yet. Every single person can have a alumni, to help them. And as Dr. G has talked about, the database for clinical and research opportunities, we've now linked our SharePoint site to the AMMC database. And, if you find anything there, please feel free to talk to myself or in areas that Dr. G has expertise, and we can help you apply for fellowships. So I will stop here and give it back to Tamara.
Excellent, thank you. So that's kind of where you start. And I will go over quickly. We do support research here, which is really fantastic. The two main fellowships that people go for are the Peter Morgaine Student Research Fellowship. It's primarily supported by the Dean's Office, but we often get supplemental funds from the Office of Research and Scholarship, as well as the Center for Excellence in Neuroscience, if it's a neuroscience geared grant fellowship, and so that's a really nice option. When you start talking to your mentors, you can mention the Peter Morgaine. This is awarded per student, not per mentor. So your mentor can be anywhere. It doesn't have to be a UNE faculty member. We also have the Carmen Pettapiece Student Research Fund. And I will do a shout out to Diane Labby, who told me that this was misspelled, told me to fix it, and I unfortunately did not fix it on this series of slides. So it's actually Carmen spelled like you normally would spell it with the E. This is supported through the Student Government Association, and it is run by the students, and it is the applications are reviewed and rated by the students. It is completely independent of the Research and Scholarship Committee. The Research and Scholarship Committee reviews and rates the Peter Morgaine. We often work together and we mentor the students, but it's really important to know that these are very distinct awards and they're run very differently. And we're proud to be able to offer both of them. As already mentioned, I won't spend much time on this slide. There are opportunities outside. I'm just highlighting a couple on here, such as the MSTAR Fellowship. We've had several students on that, but you can aim wherever and, just don't ever think, oh, I couldn't possibly get that, so I'm not even going to try. We've got Howard Hughes Medical Institute NIH Scholars Program awardees in our alumni. So it's, as Dr. G said, if you can think it, we can try and work it out, okay? So what do? You sit there, you're like, I have an idea, I have a passion, I don't have an idea yet, but I know that I want to learn more about this. What do? Find a mentor, right? So we've gone over myriad ways to do that. Once you find a mentor, it's important to start thinking about a research plan, not just go in and say, well, I'm going to do research. You have to be a little more specific than that. And so when you talk to your mentor or consider a program, first of all, you have to remember that this goes two ways, and you both need to get things that you need out of it, right? And so you need to go in there with ideas and expectations, and you need to be clear about where you're coming from, and you need to be clear about where the mentor is coming from. And so you need to make sure that whatever plan you come up with will fit in the time that you have allotted to do research. If you're doing research between first and second year and you have neuro looming at you, you have to be aware that whatever you're planning to do, including the training and all of that, can be doable in those 6 weeks that you have, right? So just something not everybody takes into mind. Some students will do the main part of their research, the hands-on part, and then come back after neuro to finish up stats and do that kind of thing, and that's absolutely fine. But your mentor has to understand that I'm going to need a break during neuro, and you will need a break during neuro, okay? So beware of overcommitting. And again, I'm just going to reiterate, make sure that your mentor is aware of your responsibilities and your priorities. And your priority really should be med school, right? It's not necessarily the research project. Find out about the training requirements, okay? Are you working with human subjects? Do you need IRB approval? Are you hopping on to one arm of a research project? It might already have IRB approval, but it's your responsibility to make sure that is true. Same for IACUC. If you're working with animals, you need IACUC approval, okay? You will, as already mentioned, have to take city training. Some things to maybe even get a leg up on is responsible conduct of research. No matter what you work with, this is a good thing to be well versed in. And then you'll have specific modules for safety, all the other things, right? Animal handling, working with human subjects, all of those. You have to work with your mentor to schedule the research. I already talked about time. Obviously, I'm spinning if you do between first and second year, but as Dr. Brenner already alluded to, there are other opportunities. And you can start a project, come back to it later, or you can do one project then, if it's a nice short little project, and then do another project later. So there are multiple opportunities. You just have to be very aware of your time and schedule and your commitments. If you're writing a fellowship, make sure that you give enough time to yourself and to your mentor to do at least one round of feedback. One day before it's due is not sufficient time. Speaking from experience, okay? Make sure that you understand all the components of the research plan, maybe even ones that you're not necessarily directly doing. Maybe a technician is doing that part because the mentor can't afford to lose all those reagents if you're during the learning period, okay? You need to understand that part too because you're gonna have to describe that part later, all right? What question, what's your hypothesis? What methods are being used? What are you going to be responsible for doing? What do you need to do to train? Do you have time to do that? And what will the results mean? Okay, are you going to be able to interpret the results of whatever you're doing and say something about what you did and why it's important? And I know I keep saying this, but having mentored many students, just awareness of your time commitment is huge. This isn't something you go in for half a day and data magically appears. It is a significant time commitment, and if you're unsure, ask your mentor. I can't say your time commitment will be 8 to 5 every day. Maybe for some labs, but not for others. So you really have to talk and know what's going on before maybe even starting it. All right? And then I thought I already said this, but basically to reiterate, check on IRB, check on IACUC, and do your city training. Serious deja vu, did I go backwards? All right, and so just want to touch a little bit more detail on IRB, so I'll hand it back to the expert, because I work with animals.
Yeah, so just so you know, the IRB is a university IRB. It's not Dr. Brenner's IRB. So my job is help you to facilitate so you can actually fill out the documents and do a good job. Certainly, one of the things the university and all universities are very, very black and white about is you have to have an approved IRB before you begin your research. If you do not, and you begin your research and all of a sudden you want to do a poster or you want to publish, we can't, allow you to continue. And this is something the dean wanted me to stress, and the university wants to stress. I think one of the nice things is starting this in the first year, because over the weekend, I had fourth years who didn't do their IRB approvals, and I was like, I was tearing my hair out. So it's not as difficult to do as you can imagine. Do I have a clicker?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. But we'll get you there. So on our SharePoint, we actually do have a link to all the policies and at UNE. The other thing is, we also can, if you have questions about whether this human subject research, what kind of IRB it needs, I can help you, but the UNE IRB may make a different determination. So please reach out to them. They've been excellent, and, we're switching. We just, we do not have a head of the IRB. However, over the weekend, somebody in the committee approved some cases. So I'm very pleased to say we're still moving at warp speed. But, please feel free to reach out to me if you are planning to submit your IRB, so we can talk about it before you actually submit it. This is requirement of UNE. So case studies, they're very easy to register. All you need is the name of the case, the name of the mentor, and you have to just write, there's something that you sign saying you're using the identified data. That's it. And then you need a signature. There is a different city training module for that. I don't have it on the slide. Diane? Oh, okay. Yeah, I see it now. Data or specimen only research course. It's very short. We submitted a case registry on Friday. It got approved on Saturday. So this happens very quickly. Students ask, why do I have to do this? I ask, why do we have to do this? But I don't make those determinations. The university makes the determinations. So now back to Tamara.
Back to my realm. So the IACUC, it's incredibly unlikely that you could even perform research if you don't already have IACUC approval. It's just not a thing that happens. Your mentor, there's serious repercussions if that happens. So, but you need to be aware that, hey, I do have IACUC approval. Everything I did with animals was approved by the committee. This is obviously to protect the animals, to protect the research, and to protect you in addition to the mentor. So just be aware, if you're doing research in a laboratory that has animal research going on, it is actually your responsibility to read the IACUC protocol that you are a part of. And you need to sign off on it. So if that's not immediately offered to you, it can slip during conversations, everyone's excited. The last thing you want to, sit there is like, and you have to read this and sign this. You're like, we're going to save the world and cure cancer. But it's really important, okay? So just to be aware of that. All right. So once you've done your research, you're successful. You might have findings that are positive, right? They confirm your hypothesis. Wonderful. You might have findings that don't. That's also actually wonderful. Sometimes you learn more by disproving a hypothesis than by just adding another piece of evidence that supports your hypothesis. So, whatever, you have many opportunities to present your research. You always have to have your mentor's approval to present your research. Now, that might seem very obvious. I see some people looking puzzled, like, why did she even say that? It happens. People sometimes get excited, submit abstracts, didn't tell the mentor, then that's not good. So always be in the loop. We have a fall research forum. This year it's going to be on October 29th, and we're going to have it in Innovation Hall. In February, we partner with the Maine Osteopathic sorry, Maine Association of Osteopathic Medicine, the MOA, and they allow, or they have a poster session where our students present their research. Wonderful networking opportunity. They love it. We love it. It's a really good time. That's usually in Portland as well. And in May, the Neoman conference is on UNE campus, and depending on how many abstracts they get, they often let students also present. Usually it's a lot of residents presenting research. And so these are a lot of different opportunities, not only for you to go present your research, but for you to go and see what others are doing. So this fall, for example, would be awesome if you went, because they can get a real flavor for what's going on. You can talk to students who have done this process and see what they went through. I would say start reaching out to people even before, but October is a good time to start thinking about these things. All right, I'm not going to walk through this slide. There's a lot of information. This is going to be posted in addition to a series of slides that's already posted on the SharePoint site we keep on talking about, so you'll be able to go in and really look at it. But it is just useful links and useful things to think about. All right. We already mentioned the contacts. This is their contact information. And this is a list of the UNE COM Research and Scholarship Committee. So you can see I'm chair, Dr. Becker is vice chair, Dr. G is on the committee. We've got both basic scientists and clinicians on the committee. Really valuable resources. You can obviously email these people as well. You can email me, you can email Dr. Brenner, and you can email Diane, who can shepherd the email appropriately. We are also very, very happy to have student representatives on our committee. This is invaluable. And so we have Lauren Morgan, who is going to speak to you in a couple of minutes, and Hunter Williams, and they come to the committee meetings, very active part of it, throws out ideas. We throw ideas at them and say, what do you guys think? So it's a very interactive process as we move forward to offer you things that I've already talked about and generate new ideas, what else we can do for you guys.
Hi guys. So like she said, my name is Morgan Robinson, Vice President of the Research Club here at UNE. Lauren couldn't be here today because of a class arrangement, but she really missed it. So I just kind of wanted to talk to you a little bit about what the UNE Research Club does, especially on the research committee. So both me, Lauren, and Hunter, when we kind of get together with the research committee, are basically just the student voices. We kind of take concerns you guys have brought up in meetings, things that we think could improve maybe student outreach and research, and we just kind of bring them up to the committee. Stuff like how to make things more clear to you guys, such as how to join research here on campus if you're not sure. And then sometimes they'll bounce stuff off us. One of the most recent things we were talking about was the fall forum, and they said, why or how do you think we can get more students to go? And it was just kind of a really good way for the research committee to show that they really do care about what we think of research at UNE and that they really want us to be involved on that committee. So just a couple things I want to bring up before we talk about like Q&A and stuff that you maybe specifically want answered were some questions I know I had as a first year looking to get into research, specifically around the timeline of when to apply for research, when to look for mentors, all of that stuff. So there really is no hardcore timeline. Some people come in with research projects already going that they have kind of in motion. Some people come in with really no past in research whatsoever, and both of those are totally fine. It's really recommended that you kind of sit out this first semester with research. That's not to say you have to drop something you're doing right now. But in terms of looking for new research or getting into a project, they just want to make sure that you are comfortable in medical school and that you're not going to immediately overload your plate before you really know what your schedule is going to look like. So what I did personally, what I know a lot of my friends did, was at the very end of the first semester in November and December is when we started reaching out to mentors. And we each had different goals. Some of us wanted to do fellowships. Some of us wanted to do summer research. Some wanted to do research that spanned throughout the entire spring semester. And that was just personal preference, what they felt like they could do, how involved they wanted to be, so on and so forth. So how to find a mentor can be kind of difficult, especially since you have all of these slides detailing all of these projects, and it can be very overwhelming when you have so many options. My recommendation is, like Dr. King said, follow your passion. If you're really interested in research somewhere, then totally go for it. I've never had a bad experience emailing a professor here on campus. They're all super excited to talk about their research, and maybe they can't take on a med student, and they will be totally upfront about that. And if they want to take on 15 med students, they'll say, heck yeah, come on board, why not? And it's not just on campus. Lauren McGinnis, the president, she really loves cancer research, especially multiple myeloma research. And so she reached out to a clinician at Maine Med and said, hey, I love your research. Can I hop on? And they said, of course you can. Why not? So she spent the summer doing multiple myeloma research at Maine Med. I spent it here with Dr. May. So I was on campus doing bench work. She was up in Portland at a hospital doing clinical work there. I know a bunch of students went off campus to do stuff with professors they had relationships with from college. So there's really no right or wrong way to do research. Fellowship, no fellowship, national fellowship, one at UNE. It's really what you want to make of it. So just have fun with it. Don't pressure yourself into anything, and just make sure that, you know, it's really a good experience and you're not regretting going into this. All right, that's kind of what I wanted to say. If we wanted to go into like a question and answer. Yeah.
Hi, so excellent summary, excellent points. I just want to just reinforce just a couple of things that she said. One is when to start research. When to start research and when to start looking for a mentor are separate things. Start looking for a mentor soon, okay? You might contact a mentor like, you know, September, October, something like that, and then not even start research until May. But in the meantime, there's a lot that you can do to prep so that when you get in there in May, you can hit the ground running. And that will take a lot of communication with your mentors. So, you know, there's a distinction that you should make, because just reaching out, finding out what you want to do, that shouldn't distract too much from your academics, which of course is the highest priority. All right. And the second thing is, again, we've all said it, but it bears repeating. Find your passion. You don't want to get into a research environment doing something that you hate. You will suffer, the research will suffer, the mentor will suffer, everybody suffers. So it really is important. The other reason why it's important is when you go to talk about your research experience, when you're interviewing, it shows if you hated the research that you were doing. It shows because you won't be able to explain it. When you explain it, you're talking like this. Then we did this, and it did this thing. Okay? That's not the impression you want to give, right? So it's really important. And the other thing that we're being told repeatedly, because a lot of people are looking to do research to get the edge up, right? That is great, and that's fantastic, but when you go to a residency and you want to do orthopedics, but you did a research project on infectious disease, right? And it doesn't really match. You're like, well, why did you spend time doing that and not, you know, more interactions with orthopedic surgeon or something like that? So, you know, it should be at least tangentially related to where you want to go. Okay? More questions? Any questions? Go ahead, please.
My question is just.
That's why we have this.
My question is just if we do get on board with UNE faculty, with funding and all for that specific, like, do we just apply, or is there funding already set up for that?
That is an excellent question, and it depends, which is the worst answer you want to hear. But basically, even if a faculty member has funding, you will usually be encouraged to apply for a fellowship because that's good for you. That's excellent on your resume and to talk about. But like if a student comes to me and I have funding, I say, go for the fellowship. If you don't get the fellowship, we will still do this project. It'll still be good for you. So it just depends on whether they have funding or if they're totally reliant on that funding to come in to do the project. And that should be very clear when you talk to the mentor. You should be very clear on that. They'll probably already be clear. More questions? Yeah. So we want to talk into the mic because it's being recorded.
So do you often work with the sports teams here? Are they usually pretty open to kind of collaborating when it comes to sports medicine research?
Yes, so I'm actually, I'm going to move back here so we can see, everyone can see. So I'm currently working on starting a project with some OMM fellows on a project with athletes. And the athletics staff has been really supportive, excited, all the things that you would want. So they're willing collaborators in my experience. And I know of several other research programs with the athletics department on things like concussion. Actually, that's the only one I know, but I know, I'm like, and that's it. But I know that they are willing to work with people, obviously, for the benefit of the athletes. But yes, definitely a good opportunity there.
So I do know that there was an undergraduate last year that had an interest in COVID-19 and the effect on student athletes as well. So they came up with this research project and they started working with the trainers and everyone to try to get involved with that. So if you have an idea and someone's not working on it, again, as Dr. G said, it doesn't mean it can't happen. You just need to ask.
Thank you. More questions, ideas? So I think we've given you a lot to think about and process, so feel free to email us as you're thinking about it and you have questions that pop up, even if it's, I'm interested in this, do you know who works on that? That's a very good question, okay? Obviously we know the processes in and out of how to do research, so I appreciate you coming to hear what we have to say about it. Hope to hear from quite a few of you and hope to see as many of you as possible at the, not only this research forum, but in future ones presenting your own research. Thanks again.